Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to another beautiful episode of Top Trees Media Interviews. I remain your humble host, Diana Solomon. At Top Trees, we are poised towards giving you informative and enlightening information about society and businesses in general. And today we have the honor of introducing Mr. Asieri Odusi. Mr. Asieri Odusi is an African product strategist and an ecosystem founder. He's based in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, Nigeria, and his work sits at the intersection of technology, entrepreneurship, and inclusive innovation. It's poised towards strong emphasis on unlocking opportunities for youth, women-led businesses, and underserved communities. So you're welcome to today's episode of Talk Food Mentor.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So please can you go the honor of introducing yourself?
Thank you. So I am Asieri Odusi. I am a product strategist and ecosystem builder. Work basically focus around supporting business startups in Africa to get them to take their ideas into driving businesses and also supporting MSMEs across Africa. It's a business strategies, market strategies, basically taking them to where they want to what's going to sky.
We're very glad to have you on today's show, and that looks today's episode, and that looks like a very like an all-encompassing business skill that you and you've worked extensively with early stage founders in emerging markets. What are the three biggest mistakes African startups make when trying to scale, and how can they be avoided?
Thank you. Very interesting question. You see, one of the things that I would claim is a mistake for people trying to become the African markets is trying to scale without understanding the problem that's trying to solve. You see, without clarity, you'll be scaling nothing. And that's like a top challenge that a lot of African startups that I've worked with also are doing these issues. So we see a startup who sees a problem, maybe in its labor and they want to replicate the exact solution without understanding how that actually pans out in their own market. So because there's no clarity on the problem, there's no clarity on even who the users are, they don't need solutions because they have the intricacies and everything. You find it problematic when they're trying to scale. That's one of the issues. Now the second one is like the very big problem. The fact that most of these businesses do not use what they call human-centered design. Now human-centered design is an approach that's integrated when you're trying to get a solution. And it starts from what they call empathy. You need to understand the people first, the problem they face. I need to understand the behaviors before you can see that okay, this is a solution that is worth solving. Because if you don't understand that, you'll be making assumptions, and these assumptions can now lead you to wrong investment. You're not investing on this. So that's the second issue. Now, the third one, which is one of the big mistakes, is that most of these small businesses are trying to initially accept do exactly copy and paste Silicon Valley model. So this solution is working here, so it should work in Nigeria. It's not always like that. It's working in Belgium, we should work in Accra. It's not like that. The market differs. And so one needs to be able to look at the peculiarities of their own markets before they try to replicate the solution. So those are the mistakes that they start
It's nice having someone like people like you in society who like specifies these issues so that people will understand better when they're going to start up any kind of business. So people like you using clarity to understand what they're doing precisely. So through your work at Biotech Corp and Startup by yourself, what key ingredients do you believe are necessary for building a thriving startup ecosystem in regions that are often overlooked by investors and policymakers?
So the first thing I think I need to do is to get deep clarity on what a startup is. Right? So in the conventional, dictionary meaning, would assume that a startup is a business that just starting, right? But then in the startup world, a startup, the term startup is used for a business that either leverages some technology to grow or the core of the operation is technology. So for instance, you see the platforms like Big Invest, you see platforms like Insta, they are technology-based businesses. So we either are downloading a mobile application or a web application to transact business or to provide to use their services. Now the conventional businesses like the MSME companies are on a different path. They provide regular products or services. However, they can utilize technology to automate certain parts of their businesses, but there's a clear demarcation between what a startup is and what a regular business is. Now, concerning the work that I do, particularly in outside tech and startup concept, some of the works that I've done is for some of the things that are critical to the growth of any ecosystem is first of all talent. Nothing happens without building your talent base. Now, who are the talents in this startup ecosystem? They are the engineers, the web developers, the data analysts, the product designers. These are the people who come up with all of them. For instance, the product designers' role is to ensure that they're able to come up with different sprints, they're able to do research. Then they move the projects to the developers, either the front end or the back end, and they're able to come up with a solution that is available in Play Store or Apple App Store. Now, these are the talents that the whole lot of people in that ecosystem. But the talent is the first base. Now, the second base, we want to understand that for the ecosystem to thrive, we also need the role of government. Now, government will just simply around policy. We need to ensure that there's policies that will help drive the startup ecosystem. There's media, there's the innovation ecosystems here in us. So we will provide all the support structures. So the startup needs internet access, they need the space to work from, they need access to investors, they need access to even markets. That's the way that innovation has to be. So there are different things in there that contribute to the ecosystem. And that's basically what I've been doing in my outside.
That's true, because someone like me, I actually thought startup is when you're about to get when you're about to go into business, right? The capital and all the things that makes it. So with this emphasis on freedom, I think I'm much more enlightened in that part. So you emphasize on validating solutions around real user needs. Can you basically share specific example where customers' insights significantly change the product direction or strategy?
Okay, so let me highlight one of the startups that I provided some support. I think early in 2022 thereabouts. So you know boats,
Yeah.
Uber and the rest. Now, if you look at the makeup of that ride hailing platform, what it simply does is that it empowers people to have private vehicles to be able to come on their platform,
Yeah.
and the platform will be able to provide people who need to move, right? Using their the asset of the vehicles. Now, boats, Uber are best fitted in a market that has a lot of people and there's difficulty with transportation. So for instance, I want to move from point A to point B, but it's requiring me to probably move through multiple transport routes. And so I want something that is convenient, that is easy for me to take from one position and get to another position. Right? Now, if you look at that model and you think that, oh, I can just get cars and connect people, and then you want to replicate this in all the markets, they are likely going to fail. Hence, because the markets differ. So, for instance, I worked with a startup in my outside mind that was going to do something around logistics food delivery. And then one of the issues that we got to find out as part of my advice was that we're looking for a market that did not need that solution. Because convenience is what is supposed to be the problem is solved. But there's already convenience because I can simply get up in my house and walk to Kilimanjaro and get my food. Right? But if, for instance, now let's look at, let me do a quick example. If I stay along KK Road and Kilimanjaro is just the same with KK, why should I want use a food delivery where I can just simply walk over. And so they were building for a market that did not really need the solution. So the solution was a convenient solution, not a huge need. Right? So what we now later did was to see that okay, let's begin to look for similar markets that have difficulties accessing these places so that it's easy for them to say, oh, I don't want to go to the stress of going to that place. Let me use the app and accept the same thing. So what simply happened was there needs to be an alignment between what the solution is and the actual problem that it's solving. And if there are no other convenient ways to solve this problem, because if there's a convenient way, then your solution will be daily used. So that is one of the things that happened, and that's a practical example of how I was able to solve that challenge with that startup.
To the right it's mostly about convenience and problem and community. You're also involved in technology, digital marketing, ecosystem development, and now protect through ethical homes. How do you decide what opportunities are worth pursuing and what framework guides your decision?
Very interesting question. So this is the thing. The challenge that I see a lot of people try to do is that they are trying to chase after trend. And trend will never last. Trends only exist for a period of time, which is feasible. My approach towards jumping on maybe a new solution or pivoting to solving a new problem is the same thing as the solution of this problem. It has to be a problem. And not just any kind of problem, a problem that has a strong demand, exactly. So what if it's strong demand? Your work as an entrepreneur or startup founder is to see, okay, what tools, what resources can I use to solve this problem? And so if you look at it, with the advent of technology, there was a time when there was a robust for blockchain technology. Blockchain is the technology to solve the same problem. But what you're looking at is you're looking at different technology to solve it. Now we have the advent of AI. AI is not solving space, it's solving the same problem that we already have because we need different people. So the idea is, what is a problem, but it's a different problem. Your work as an entrepreneur or a startup founder to say, okay, how best can I solve this problem? How can I make this problem convenience? How can I make it more convenient? How can I make it more effective? So that's what the process around it. So for me, I do not jump around it, but I just focus on problems and address some problems. For instance, when we started the problem existed, which is people do not have access to decent properties. And so our thought was, how can we solve this? There are different approaches. Like we said, okay, let's do something similar. Let's build infrastructure and then let's do financial support. So infrastructure means that we're providing access to existing properties and then we are using technology to bridge the gap to say, okay, these are the existing properties and through this channel we can access. So that's how life is and how I jump into solving problems.
Progress simplified, life is very simply solved. You don't need to crack your head. Looking ahead to the next decade, what emerging trends or sectors do you believe present the greatest opportunities for African entrepreneurs, and how should founders position themselves towards capitalizing on them?
Okay. Trends again, per se. There are existing trends where there's no AI or AI is controversial, but AI will actually take pictures. That's reality.
So already started.
AI will take a picture. But what AI is going to do is going to take AI into level. Into level. So I can type. It's no longer advanced because this can do it. Right? So those entry levels is what's the taking. But for me, I don't really know on technology so for me, one of the problems that will still continue being relevant even in the future to come is that there are services, marketing, sales, all of these things. Whether you want to automate it, Whether you want to do it manually, it's up to you. But then those will win. Then another interesting area that I personally am looking forward to is the fact that the informal sector is still yet to be fully integrated into the digital world. So for me, what I see is more of the reskilling, upskilling, and digitization of the informal sector. How do I mean by this? Let me give a clear example. If we somehow look at our environment or society, you see that informal sector skills are kind of declining. Let me ask a question. If you need a plumbing service today, who will you call? Where is the plumber? Where will you find the plumber? You see, so there are gaps.
Yeah.
Because if I say, okay, I need a plumber now, can you find a plumber now and direct plumber? You can't. Why? Because we are not kind of tilting towards the whole technology, and then we are looking aside this place. So they still need for us to reskill more plumbers, more carpenters, more of these informal skill workers, and then we also find ways to bring them into the digital economy, where you're able to connect them to, their service provider. You want to connect them to the need-to users. So there's an opportunity in that place. So founders who can begin to build solutions around upskilling these people, reskilling them, and connecting them to the marketplace are going to make it.
Your mission is to help African businesses compete in global markets while remaining locally relevant. How do founders strike the right balance between building for local realities and creating solutions for scaling the
When you say you want to move to the global scene, you need to first solve local. Because once you're able to solve the local needs, the advantage of trying to solve for the local market is that you're able to, first of all, validate that this solution actually makes sense. That's one. So, there are a lot of people who crave for these solutions, who need this solution, who I think want this solution. And they're able to do that, they're able to see that okay, people are not paying for this product, there's not that demand. Now, once you're able to establish that from the local market, your expansion plan will not be, can I find similar markets in other locations? So, you're starting, for instance, in Niagara. This market I'm selling, can I find this market in Rivers City Departments? Can I find this market in Lagos? Can I find this market in Accra? Can I find this market in somewhere, maybe in Europe or North America? That's how it is. So it starts with the local market, so for this problem, then we need to find similar market, and that's how you cannot go from local to global. Exactly. So that's the strategy towards this. And that's what I think practically for all my founders. Get them to validate the local markets, solve for local solutions, and then you gradually begin to think about the expansion plans so that possible way.
Today was we had a very enlightening interview. Changed a lot of perspectives as regards startups and people that are about to venture into business and a lot has been said that can help boost those people that intend to come into the marketplace. And with that, we've come to a very successful video. And I want to thank you for joining us and God bless you.
Thank you.
And with that,